Hi, I'm Amanda Parker. Today I'm going to be talking about what it's like to return to work and how you can actually still sustain some of these behaviors and self-care practices that you might have begun over the last year and a half, maybe even longer, even when the work situation might be changing. So for those of us who are living in North America or in Europe, things are really starting to open up again. I know it's different depending where you are in the globe, but regardless of where you're located, the future of work is actually changing. So across the globe, many of us were forced to work from home, maybe in isolation. Those who had the luxury of being able to work behind a desktop or working on a computer were able to really transfer immediately from one work environment back to their desk, sitting at home, wherever that may be. So this has been a huge shift for many people. For those of us who actually started doing that process a bit earlier, for the entrepreneur, the person that was already running a business from home, whatever that might have looked like, we had a little bit more experience, a bit of a leg up, but the truth is that we're all on somewhat of a level playing field from here. So now what's happening is companies are starting to open up again. They want their employees to come back to the office. Companies themselves are totally scrambled and not really sure what to do in terms of working remote policy or hybrid policy. How often should people be in the office? How often should they be at home? There's a lot of big questions that are coming up on the employment side. And then for those who are leading teams or perhaps just an employee within a big organization or even a smaller organization, a lot of questions come up about what does that mean for my work-life balance? You know, as an individual, you might have been listening to people like me and others that you follow online telling you the importance of having routine, the importance of establishing self-care practices that could really sustain you over the last few months, over the last year, over the last couple years. So the reality is that you might have actually gotten yourself into quite a healthy rhythm of being able to, I don't know, meditate or cook for yourself or take the time you need in the morning or in the evenings to actually exercise, things like this. So these new practices have come in, and you could be feeling, if you're anything like my clients and some of the companies that have been approaching me, there's really questions about what does that mean now? So what does it look like when we go back to the office? How do I still maintain my routines? How do I still stay healthy? How do I still put my self-care first, even when I might have to go back to the office? So there's no right or wrong way to handle the situation as it stands right now. Both sides of the equation are kind of struggling. What does that future look like? How do we want to build that? What does that look like together? And I can promise you, based on the number of outreach that I've received from companies, they really want to tackle this and do a good job so that people feel good coming back into the office, however that looks. But as an individual, you can still maintain these boundaries that you've set for yourself. You can still maintain these new self-care practices and things that make you feel good, and maybe just adapt to the new situation. So the point of self-care and the point of having boundaries is not that you create a box around yourself and it can never be shifted no matter what. Of course, life changes, the circumstances around you change, work and family and friends and obligations will change. And as a human being, we also have to be adaptable to the circumstances around us while taking particular consideration for the things that matter most to us and that really help us to feel well in our lives. What that means is if you have a particular routine that you know really helps you to feel grounded, and you're afraid that going back to the office 3, 4, or even 5 days a week is going to totally throw that off, it's time to start thinking about what about that routine helps you feel grounded, and how can you implement maybe a part of it if you don't have time for the entire routine. Or perhaps if you're someone like me who keeps trying to wake up earlier and struggles with it, what could help you to make sure that you wake up early enough in the morning that you really have the time to implement these new routines and habits and things that are going to help you to feel good in your day. So I know for me, when I have the thought of, oh my God, if I had to go into the office 5 days a week now, what would I do about my meditation and my morning yoga? And I'm picking tarot cards in the morning and I have a relaxed coffee before I even sit down at my desk. The reality is, I might have to take a look at what my evening routine looks like, because as things are opening, there might be more invitations to dinner or going out for drinks, or just this temptation, especially in the summer, to stay up a bit later. But if you really want to get serious about taking care of yourself and your own well-being and your mental well-being, everything that goes along with it, you might actually want to take a look at what you're doing in the evening. So what time do you need to be going to bed so that you can actually wake up early, if that's 7 a.m. or 6:30 or 7:30, that you really have the time you need in the morning? And if you want to be going to bed at a reasonable hour, what kind of routine is going to help you start to get into the mood for sleep a bit earlier? So that might not be, picking up your phone and scrolling through photos or whatever other apps that you find addictive. So it might mean that you actually have to turn your technology off a bit earlier. Maybe you take a shower or something that really signifies, okay, the day is ending, it's time to wind down. Maybe you have a particular nighttime tea that you like to drink that really helps to calm your body and bring you back to center. So these are the kind of things that you should be looking at, really understanding what are the habits or the routines or these rituals that you've built up that help you to feel good, and how can you maintain the integrity of those rituals even if they don't look exactly the same as they have over the last year. Another thing just to be very clear on is you can set boundaries in your work life. So as I said, you don't want to just create a box around yourself that can never be moved, because that means you're totally inflexible and actually in a prison of boundaries. But you can actually set some boundaries, that I don't start work before this time, or I don't end my work day. I end my workday, not don't end it, but I end my workday exactly at 6:30 or 7 p.m. I don't answer calls or emails in the evening. So these kind of parameters you can still set to give yourself that boundary that you need, and that healthy balance between your working life and your private life. So it's up to you to really understand what are these ingredients that help you to feel good, that help you to feel grounded, that support your own mental well-being, and make sure that you have enough of them built into your day and into your week, that when you actually start changing your work routine or going back to the office or changing up some of those dynamics with the people that you're working with, it's not such a shock to your system. So your well-being still should come first, because if you don't feel good and you can't take care of yourself, there's no way that you can be productive or effective. But you still might have to find these little workarounds to help you and support you to still stay strong and to still grow as an individual while you're able to contribute to your job. So these are just a few insights and thoughts that I've just seen coming up a lot lately in terms of how to go back to work. How do I keep these routines? So it's not something to be afraid of. It's something to adapt with and find a method and a rhythm that works for you. Have a conversation with your employer or your boss. Let them know what kind of parameters will help you, and perhaps others on your team are struggling with the same thing. So having these conversations openly might not just help you, it might help everyone around you. And it also helps open the door from your employer to think about different ways of working together as a team. So I wish you a lot of work, a lot of work. I don't wish you a lot of work. I wish you a lot of luck as things start opening, and that you trust yourself enough to find this rhythm and routine that's going to work for you. I'd love to hear what sort of adaptations that you're making in your own work life, what's working for you, what's not working for you, and just share some of those experiences, because the more that we share and exchange, the better we can learn from others and, do it better for ourselves later. So thanks a lot for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.